we truly are managed scientifically. Religion has always been a big part in this. And in the book Towards a New Civilization, Gorbachev himself talked about the creation of a new religion, which would be essential for part of the plan as they go through this. And it's a religion which we tend to call the New Age today. And it's infiltrated all standard religions and into the Christian churches as well. And it began years ago, where the first step was positive thinking. Just think positive and you'll get what you want. Now they call it motivational courses for business and etc. But it's mixed into all the New Age philosophy. It doesn't matter which particular New Age philosophy it seems to be, because they're all one. They're all paid and sponsored from the top, the same octopus's head. And they'll tell you to don't dwell on the negative. Don't dwell on the negative because everything's an illusion anyway. And it doesn't do any good to dwell upon the negative. So when anyone in company tries to speak up and say, hey, the king has no clothes, we're heading towards hell, they'll turn away en masse because they've been trained to look at the positive side of things and not to listen to negative, to their own detriment, of course, because there's never been a better way to get people to shut their brains down and have no defense mechanisms whatsoever. They've done a fantastic job on the public. Nothing is real. And interestingly enough, all the New Agers have gone through their programs and paid to go through them. And a program, of course, is like a theater program that tells you what's coming up step by step. Education is similar to it. Education can be positive or negative depending on the purpose and depending on the outcome. Indoctrination doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It means to teach a doctrine. See, these are the definitions of words. And it's the purpose and the outcome which can make it good or bad, depending on its purpose. But you'll find that people go through different courses to buy their belief systems, and it generally caters to the ego. It also gives you, for those who've fallen away from the religion they were brought up in, which has been cast aside, it's defunct, it's redundant, it doesn't work anymore for them in this particular step or age. They still walk into with the same paradigm into the next religion, looking for familiar type answers, which are very similar to the one they just left. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for a purpose for life. They're looking for the rules and the regulations that must go with an order, because they're terrified of a life without order. And the one that we've come out of, which was Christianity primarily, is full of rules and regulations and dogma. And we think that's natural, but only because we've been brought up in it. It's actually for social control all those rules and regulations were given in the first place. So as I say, these spontaneously appearing organizations which taught meditation and techniques of unreality and how to get into unreality by denying the presence of even the people around you as being real and having to chant mantras about that, also taught the same people that nothing was real, nothing really mattered. And don't look at the negative things. They want to hear something positive all the time. This is not to say, however, that personal experience is irrelevant. In fact, it's the opposite. Personal experience, as opposed to group experience perhaps, is the ultimate, because it's all you really have to go by. And it doesn't have to fit into the realm or the understanding of anyone else. It's interesting that the Catholic Church, for instance, for all of its dogma, gave up many, many, many truths for individual life. One of them was to do with even a ghost. They didn't attempt to explain a ghost except, and they didn't call it demonic necessarily. They would say that it was the recipient that it was sent to, and only the recipient would understand the purpose. It was up to the recipient of the encounter. It wasn't just a happenstance thing. So that the paranormal certainly was never ruled out. The problem with the Catholic Church is it used the paranormal, at least the fear of things, primarily through imagination and repetition, to control people, as all religions do, including what is the New Age movement. The New Age movement was set up by those at the very, very top of the pyramid of Freemasonry, and their magazine was called The New Age. And they talked about bringing in a new earth religion, which would encompass all the old religions, the ones that had worked under times of totalitarianism in centuries gone by, and millennia gone by even. Because that which fascinated humankind thousands of years ago still fascinates them today. And because they understand, and they have the sciences and the histories of the studying of the human populations for thousands of years in archives, the hive of the ark, you might say, as opposed to what they give you, which is a public library. They understand that those things which fascinate you can always fascinate you. And teenagers especially are fascinated by that which they sense, mainly, is beyond them. It's near them, it's beyond them, it's around them. And it's no coincidence that poltergeist activity, for instance, happens primarily with children who are just nearing or going through puberty, and then tends to just die off, fade away. Much speculation has gone on to the cause of this. Is it something to do with the parts of the brain, the silent area, a large part of the brain, which supposedly they tell us they cannot find the purpose. That's why it's called the silent area. But something is triggered during that period. And it doesn't matter how many scientists tell you that's impossible, that kind of thing can't really exist. And sure enough, for every one that's true, there's probably a few hundred of frauds out there. It doesn't make it any less true to the individual who experiences it. I personally would love to believe everything is scientific, and you must accept that things can be done scientifically in this day and age. And so that cannot be discounted. But your personal experience of life must also be accepted, for people need meaning. People are always saying that they want truth, but they don't really want truth. They want something which is familiar. They want a guarantee that if they come at the next step to waking up, they'll be guaranteed to be able to handle it, and that isn't the case. Not everyone can truly wake up. Many people can wake up to the first step, which is simply understanding what's happening in the world around them and to them and where it's going, and they can follow the speeches given by various people down through the last 100 years or so, and it all begins to make sense to them. But that's only one level of this whole process. There are other levels much deeper, which go beyond the media, the news, the meetings, and the statements that have been made. Because there is a real occult side to this, a real hidden side. And that's what occult means. A hidden side and a hidden religion, which is the only way they've been able to keep a hold of their goals and guide it down through many, many, many centuries from ancient times. The saying in Freemasonry, which is to perfect that which was left imperfect,